Welcome to another episode of Industrial Amputation, where you can always expect the unexpected. We are honored today to be accompanied by royalty from the Chicago music scene. He was the owner, president, and operation manager of Chicago Trax Recording Studio, which is a huge feat among itself. He was a student that went on to become a guest lecturer, faculty member, and panel.
I'm still alive.
Yeah, I can confirm that. At his alma mater, Columbia College in Chicago, he is a former principal and director at the X Arts Entertainment Management Group and a founding member and currently on the board of directors at the Engineering and Recording Society of Chicago, which is also known as EARS, and that began in 1986. As of 2021, he began serving as an advisory board member at the Museum of Post-Punk and Industrial Music, just to name a mere few of his accomplishments. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure to have with us today Mr. Reid Hyams. Reid, thank
It's my
you.
first.
Clap, clap.
Did I leave anything out?
No.
Okay, so let's jump right on.
Let's just talk over each other.
No, that's how it goes. Um, can you talk about the formation of Trax Recording Studio and what motivated you to pursue this endeavor?
Okay. I was working as a studio musician and playing in different studios all the time. And there was a studio called Birdland, and the engineer there was someone who I worked with before at Paragon and Sound Market and Zenith DB. And my friends actually owned that studio. It was in a house. They had the whole house.
Yeah.
We went over there, and then I started working in there. The first thing I did, I was working with composer William Russo, and he had written a book composing for the jazz orchestra, which was put out by the U of C Press. And I did the workbook with him. I co-authored that. And then Bill said, let's put out an audio tape to go with that. So I did. And we did that at Birdland.
Hmm.
And so I was constantly in the studio doing different things. And one day I was having dinner with my father in 79 or 80, and he goes, you're always in the studio, and your friends have this studio called Birdland.
Yeah.
Uh, what if I can help arrange for you to buy in? Now, he wasn't giving me the money. He got
Yeah.
all.
No.
So I said, yes, let's do it because then I can do all my own compositions and,
Systems, yeah.
record myself.
Yeah.
Dream that never happened. But so I bought in the studio and I bought out all the partners except for two at the time. And it was like Wayne and Schubert and Lincoln Park. And I bought these people out, and I kept my friend who I brought in there stayed, and the owner of the house stayed. He was a partner in the studio. And we formed Chicago Trax in 1980.
Hmm.
And I remember when I first started that studio because we changed the name from Berlin. Berlin was named after Charlie Parker, the sax player.
Hmm.
Uh, and we changed it to we wanted to call it Trax, and we got Chicago Trax with the state, the name. Um, and that was in 1980, and within 2 or 3 months after taking over the studio, beginning on like January 1st, January 2nd, that studio became booked all the time. And a lot of
Wow.
it had to do with, I was a musician. So I knew all these musicians and they had to record. And they're like, oh, Reid has a studio. Let's
Yeah.
go. So that's what we started doing. And, I remember the first session I pulled up in the morning, I think it was January 2nd, and it was Hip Link Chain.
Mhm.
Uh, and they were all waiting in front for all of us because it
Huh.
was a session we never did, and it was Chicago Tracks, and we did this. And 8 hours later, they said we're done. And I said, "What do you mean you're done?" Well, everything's mixed and we're done. I'm like, "Oh, great! This is a lucrative venture. People are
Yeah.
going 8 hours, and that's it. It'll be we'll go broke in no time."
Yeah.
We expect you to stay a week, come on. Um,
Yeah.
but Trax was a track at the time,
Mhm.
and that's part of something you mentioned before. Um,
Mhm.
the how did Trax grow? At the time, um, Les Paul was basically in, I believe it was in the 70s, I guess you could say the father of multi-track recording. He really put that together on tape. And we had different formats. When the Beatles started recording, they were recording on, you know, 2 track
Two track.
and mixing things together and, just trying to build tracks and struggling through, a nominal amount of tracks that didn't really, make it easy for them to get what they got. And they sure got a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And 8-track became popular. It was a little bit of a different format at the time, just the tape size was a little bit bigger. Um, and I think in around 75. And, I know my history is probably wrong on a lot of this, but it's fairly accurate. I think
Hmm.
seeing 16 and 24 track recording. 24 track became the standard of the industry. Chicago Tracks was 8-track when we started out. A lot of studios were.
Yeah.
And the quest was always to get more tracks because the artists wanted more tracks to work with.
Work with.
They would have more control over their music. And what happened is when you do something like an 8-track recording, you're very limited on what you can put on each individual track. One track of bass, which is common, but maybe stereo drums, and when you hit
Mhm.
24 track, drums are on 6 to 8 tracks, and
Yeah.
you're constantly bouncing things back and forth and trying to squeeze everything in.
Yeah.
um, the cool thing about it is you have to make decisions, which doesn't happen in today's world of recording. In today's world, you have an unlimited number of tracks, and we'll get to that later on. But I mean, the guitar player can lay down 100 tracks of a guitar solo because they don't know which one they want, or they screwed up and whatever, and it just
Hmm.
on and on and on and on. I know
Yeah.
you're with that, Levi.
I
So
know.
we went from 8-track. We actually started becoming very successful as an 8-track studio, doing records like the Earl of Old Town record, that's Entertainment with all the artists,
Mm.
folk artists. We started doing one of blues records. And then
Yeah.
we had to bounce up the 16 track that opened new doors, but that still wasn't the standard of the industry. But it sounded great. It sounded better than 24. And then we
Yeah.
hit 24, and all of a sudden, a whole new world opened up because that was the standard of the industry. And that's what everything was recorded on. And that expanded later on to 48 track by putting two machines together. But that opened a lot of doors. And when
Yeah.
that happened, in the house there, we started seeing, people like Greg Allman come in. We were working with Michael Jackson on a court case, believe it or not. That Girl Is Mine for
Hmm.
copyright infringement, which was kind of funny because the song the person said they stole didn't sound anything like That Girl Is Mine. We'd be playing That Girl Is Mine in the control rooms. People walk in the door, by the door, and they go like, "Oh, that sounds like Michael Jackson." And they would turn around and go, "It is," and they go, "Yeah, right." And it was. So we did that court case for Sony, and unfortunately, we won. I mean, it was no brainer. It was just a
Yeah.
frivolous, but that opened the door to doing more and more things, and that's when Al came in. I think it was 1983. We went super fast from 8-track to 16 to 24. And there's a
Boy.
lot of things that go into that type of move going up. You need more mics, more mic stands. You need more effects.
Hmm.
You need a larger board.
Yeah.
Um, when we hit 24 track, we knew that, our studio was putting out product that sounded as good or better than most of the studios around, particularly in Chicago, because that's our town.
Chicago, yeah. Yeah.
And by 83, like I said, Jorgensen came in. I think we were doing edits of Halloween. I gave him a brown grease pencil color, according to him. He was editing brown tape and said, then he gave me a brown greased pencil and it couldn't see where he was editing because it's the same color as the tape. And I'm like, that never happened. He said it to them. So, okay. But we knew we had to get out of there. And at that point, I bought that third partner out that owned the house. And we moved to a movie theater on Halsted in Boys Town.
Yeah.
And that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
We had three locations, and Halsted Street was magical because
Yeah.
that is where we were doing all the industrial music
Yep.
and Trax records and all the house music, the DJ International and a company called Trax Records, which was not Chicago Trax.
Right.
I think they're clear because the guy who owned it was nothing but a crook. He ripped off all of his artists. So welcome to the music industry. As Martin would say, you're fun. And that's where things started taking off. In 1985, we finished the studio. In 1986, we were open. The first record we were doing was Ministry, and it just grew and grew and grew, as far as clients and artists coming in and record labels coming in. We basically did, I think, I'm not all the work for Wax Trax, but we were doing like tons of their records, which included Thrill Kill Call.
Yeah.
Heard of them.
Yeah. Buzz in the control room for 3 days.
Yeah.
And we're doing all these different artists for Wax Trax, and we're doing all of this house music. But we had Geffen decided they wanted Geffen is a rock label, David Geffen's company.
Yeah.
They decided they wanted to go in house music, and we went, okay. So we're doing albums of house music. I don't think they really ever won anywhere because most major labels didn't know how to deal with both industrial or house.
Yeah.
You
Nope.
know, it's, I mean, wouldn't you agree, Levi? That was a strictly independent scene.
Mm.
Even though major labels did start picking up industrial musicians later on, as time went on, in a very short period of time. But Wax Trax was leading the pack when it came down to industrial music, which is basically it's a Chicago thing.
Mm.
I mean, I know people were doing industrial music artists in other states and countries, but it was really a Chicago thing and it exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to turn up a little more the volume.
Okay. Maybe I'll switch over to the speaker in a minute. My voice is a little bit, I'm sorry. It's
No, that's all right. I just want to hear you.
I had the meningitis, but I'll try and talk louder.
Yeah.
So anyway, where was it?
You at the
Yeah.
where?
We were talking about like, all the industrial music we were doing, and
Yeah.
it just grew and grew and grew. And like I think it was 1989, all of a sudden Trent popped up because he was very much influenced by Ministry and the entire industrial music.
Yeah, that's
Scene.
right.
And all of a sudden we're doing Trent and we're doing, Thrill Kill Call. I'm not. What year did Thrill Kill Call come on the scene?
89.
89. Okay.
Yeah. So Trent Trent didn't come around. I guess he came around the same time. You know, he was in the studio, but the album hadn't been Pretty Hate Machine hadn't been established yet. And then
Mhm.
and then let me think. Yeah, we also had Sister Machine Gun and also, Chris Randall. But
Yeah.
there was a lot of bands that were coming in from Europe, like Front 242,
Mhm.
um, Nitzer Ebb, lot of industrial acts.
KMFDM was another one. Uh,
Yeah,
Luke Van Acker. Uh,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, and we had people from that were already there that were from, out of the
mm,
country. Chris Connolly was from
yeah,
Spain. Luke was from Belgium.
yeah,
KMFDM was from
Germany.
it was like a magnet.
Yeah,
We really didn't know what was going on, but there was something going on because people were just coming in to work together, and there was always a collaborative frame of mind or thought process where people would come in and work with other people.
yeah, yeah. Because I remember when I would go to Trax, I was in a band and we wanted uh we wanted to have to influence the Al's edge on the sound.
Mhm.
So we wanted him to produce our album, and he was getting so much work, so much, like you said, there were people coming in and coming out, um, and he would he would not have time. He had to do his own thing.
Well, that's true, but didn't he work on some of the album with you? I thought he did.
No, no, we had he had he did a lot of things with bands like I'm trying to think, Reed. It was
Well,
so many people, you
well,
know.
I think maybe help you out, maybe.
Yeah,
Whack, Al had one from Arista where they tried to turn him into a pop synth pretty boy,
yeah,
and he got fed up with that and told Clive, "I'm out of here." And then he came and started working with Wax Trax. Remember,
mhm.
Halloween is on Wax Trax. Am I right? I believe so.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, because we edited it for him, and that's when we started our relationship with um, Wax Trax.
Track. Yeah,
And Al started producing different things for Wax Trax. What the primary
yeah.
doing
Track.
was ministry at the time. And unfortunately, Jim and Danny, who owned Wax Trax, were having financial problems with the label.
Mhm.
So what ended up happening was one day Jim and Danny came over because I didn't know what was going on. And they said, "Come on, let's go to the bar and have a drink." And they said, we're going to be selling Ministry's contract to Sire Records, which is part of Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay, we work with Warner Brothers, and what's the problem? I mean, what about you guys? And they were trying to ensure me that nothing would change. And I'm like, nothing did change. I'm going to build Warner Brothers. Okay, no big deal. But that opened the door to the Revolting Cocks
yeah,
because what ended up happening was Sire got Ministry and Waxtrax got a new group called Revolting Cocks, which was a very cool group because it took in artists from all different groups, areas, or whatever to join in um, and be part of the Waxtrax family.
family. Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, Revolting Cocks was basically Ministry on steroids.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I remember.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so and then so we were always doing it never seemed to end. We were always doing ministry, revolting Cox, and then
Lard.
I'm sorry.
Lard.
Oh, Lard, yeah, Joe. That goes on forever. Lard records. Yeah, but I think Lard came out on Alternative Tentacles, which was his own label.
Uh,
And Revolting Cox opened the door, and Chris Conway.
yeah.
I don't know if Chris was really um, when as when we first started ministry, Paul wasn't in ministry, Paul Barker, and then
Yeah.
Paul, partners with Al in ministry and all the productions.
Yeah. That's right.
So they were doing all these different things together. Um,
Mhm.
I thought they worked with you, Levi, but I guess they didn't. I know we did KMFDM.
Yeah. They were KMFDM.
Yeah, Al worked with KMFDM. I remember that they marked.
Yeah.
We thought they were so German that they'd be marching out the door at the end of their session. I'll leave long.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it was the thing. I myself, I don't I remember being in the Chicago scene, music scene. I didn't have any interest of for the label, Wax Trax label, because there was no one from Chicago that was signed.
Mhm.
No, I would be with, I would go with we got we got interest from we got help from Lee Popa
Oh yeah,
and what was his other name? And yeah, Lee Pope,
Lee Popa had the Slamming Watusis.
yeah, Simon Watusis,
Signed
and the Insiders, which had
Oh,
which had can't remember his name.
Jay O'Rourke.
Jay O'Rourke, yes. And Jay, yeah, yeah, they were, they were like, they took me under, under their wings, and I got to learn how to do a lot of sessions and stuff. But, those three guys, Al, Jay O'Rourke, and Lee Popa were were visionaries. They had a certain thing about them.
Hmm.
They bands were, the labels wanted to sign Jay O'Rourke, you know,
They did.
yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Uh signed Jay O'Rourke, and Lee just, I don't know. The Simon Watusis, they signed
They signed the Slamming Watusis. Epic did. It was
yeah, Epic, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so the band I was in, we were trying to get signed, you know. Also there were other bands like the Bohemia.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, remember Bohemia?
sure do.
Yeah, they were very, very, very good. But
Frank Raven, I think, right?
yeah, well, um, but I know a lot of things, and that was the scene. You had to get. There were bands that were showcasing outside of Chicago, like Cheap Trick. They go to New York or L.A. and showcase, and they get signed. I
Hmm.
mean, Cheap Trick. I mean, you please see them playing in the bars and clubs in Chicago,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden, that was the first band that I saw had merch.
Hmm.
They had merch, They had a merch booth. They
Mhm.
sold T-shirts. That was that was that was groundbreaking.
What,
You know,
what label they were on?
they were on Columbia.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
believe they were on Columbia.
Okay. I mean, it might have been Epic too. Epic had an
Yeah,
interest in Chicago.
yeah. But I didn't know too much then, Reid. I was just a guy who was in a band who wanted to do this for the rest of my life. And I lucked out. You know, I got to see things that I never imagined I would become. Seeing Al, Al was a big influence. I don't talk to him much, and I don't think, to him, maybe I was just, someone that was around, but I was really naive and I really, really wanted to get into and see what was going on in the
Mhm.
minds of these moments. And, and Al, I would see him just do it. You would come in, you would be at work in the day. You would not be there in the night, in the evening.
I was occasionally, but
Yeah, occasionally, yeah.
I would stay there till 10 at night.
Yeah, 10 or something, but 10 o'clock, that was a new that was the witching hour. At 10 to and then midnight, you forget it.
It was in
Long as we make it to the bar uh in time before the bar closes.
Smart Bar.
Smart bar, yeah. And the liquor store to 1,000 liquors. We finished up. But some of the sessions where he would, I that's the first time I saw tracks being putting down tracks. He put down so many tracks. He gave a name for each track, you know, this and the knob turners, the intern, the engineers would he called them knob turners. And
Mhm.
yeah, those knob turners are really, really got to get at it. And cutting tapes, you know, he was great at cutting tape.
I told my Al because Al was the best.
Yeah, he was the best. Man, I swear to God, guys would be so scared to even think of cutting a tape.
Al would have 100 pieces of tape, taped
Tape, yeah,
off.
yeah,
It
yeah,
exactly what each part was.
yeah, yeah. And and me seeing this was like an influence. I mean, I see him cutting tape, um, tracking there at the console.
Mhm.
It used to be you go into the live room, nah, do it right there. Instruments. Out of board effects, pedals. I I would watch I watch him doing this, and I don't think he really realized how much of an influence it was for me. And you, Reid, you just were really you're a good man. You're a good guy.
Thank you.
And I couldn't understand why Al would pick on what pranks. Why there are so many pranks pulled on us.
I think that was it was our love for each other.
Yeah, 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 true. I
It
had
goes,
to say.
it goes on. I mean, I just saw Al, and
Mhm.
Al he really hated some people. When you knew he hated them, he really hated them.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think he carried on. I mean, he really disliked my partner, and so no, I fired him.
Oh wow, he who was he would Buster.
Yeah, I had to
Just
I let him go.
he just I don't know. Buster. both of you guys, I couldn't see. I used to think you guys were brothers. Didn't look like it.
No, it didn't look like it.
But you guys seem to me, I always liked you guys. You know, but if Al didn't like you, he didn't like you. And I used to see when people would talk shit about Al, they would talk shit. And one time, how I met Al, I would go, what
Mm.
is this? These guys, these people are talking about him. I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at this. And I go, why are they just totally being nice to him now? After they talk all this world of crap. And
You
and
know,
I thought I got sick of it.
let me share something. I think you can pick it up. Let me get it on my phone.
Mhm.
Al Al would like to really get down on me, and then it'd be the opposite. He'd come back and go, "Oh, I love you, man." And he sent me a message. Let me see him and Joe. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Mhm.
Reid Hyams. Okay, it takes a second.
Yeah.
Not the correct password.
Of course
Please
not.
re-enter your password
Us
now.
blind guys have that issue.
You have 3 saved messages.
Okay.
Main menu. To listen to your messages, press 1. To send a message, press 2. To first saved voice message.
You'll love this.
Wednesday,
This isn't it then.
October 16th at 5. And message erased. Message from mailbox 97878312777. Next saved voice message. Sent. Saturday, September 3rd, 2022 at
This has got to be it. Can you hear
5:40
it?
p.m.
Yeah.
Message from mailbox 81866694129.
Reid, the studio's on fire. Oh, it's actually flooded. It's the opera and it's Al. You called both of us wanting us to make a movie about you and somehow cast you in a different light than what is actually evident for all to see. But it's your game. We've got some ideas. Trax, you told me before you liked the idea of it being a Marx Brothers movie. Well, we even have a director in mind, and you know her too. Just come on. We haven't talked to her that yet because we wanted to talk business about the last temptation of Reid the movie. I'm kind of head out for something else, so my phone's not going to be on that long. But yeah, man, hope that you're doing good, and I'm going to text you as well to scold you for not picking up your fucking phone, which you can do whether you can see or not. And I sure hope you can see better than the last time we talked, but I know it's going to be a slow, tough thing. So, hey, Reid, get better, buddy. We'll touch base soon. All right. Later. Bye. Last Temptation of Reid coming up at a theater near you.
Wow. That's
I mean, it was always like, it's
yeah,
attack, and then it's like, oh,
yeah,
wow, kind of joking.
yeah, yeah. I love him still. I mean, I think he's great. I mean, I don't know. I just really, and as far as, he's just he's just really good.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, the Chicago business scene really was taking off, and a lot of it had to do with industrial and house music. And as you mentioned, Cheap Trick were trying to get a deal, and you
Mhm.
mentioned Insiders, that's J.O. Works Group.
Yeah,
Slug Lucy's is lead Popo.
yeah.
Somewhere around 86, 87, Peter Cassis, who
Oh,
was manager, he managed Nicholas Tremolos, and at one point he managed Ministry.
yeah.
Now he's in LA. He's manages major artists. But
Yeah.
um, he formed a partnership with Jeff Quatnitz. They had Material Issues. We did their record too. Uh,
Oh,
and
wow.
did a Freak City soundtrack. But they put together something that was very cool. We had the New York Music Seminar that Tommy did from Tommy Boy Records. And Tommy was amazing. That was an amazing seminar in New York. Peter and Plotnitz got Shanahan, Myra McCormick, who wrote for Billboard, Jack Kellman, myself, and other people involved. And we put on Choice Picks.
Mm,
And Choice Picks, we invited all these A&R people, presidents of labels, producers, managers to Chicago
yeah.
to see what was going on. And out of that, we ended up seeing more signings, and it became kind of like Chicago's new music seminar. It was very, very cool.
Yeah.
And Trax participated, and I did. My partner at the time didn't give a damn. He didn't, I don't know, he didn't give a damn about anything. We did a
Hmm.
George Harrison party, and he went and played Yes during the middle of the party, and we had to throw him out. And that
Oh.
was it's for George Harrison. But I mean, that started attracting a lot of artists to Chicago. They're playing all the different clubs, and
Yeah.
if make for choice picks, just like the new music center, you got to go to all the clubs with a badge. You know what?
Mhm.
And then that led to the Midwest Music Conference. And during that period of time, artists were getting signed um, to major labels. Some of the house music artists,
Nice. Yeah,
Vince,
Frankie Knuckles.
Jesse Saunders, Brett
Yeah, Frankie
Cole,
Knuckles.
Hurley was signed to RCA. It was Chicago was booming, and record labels always worked like that, or at least they did
Yeah.
during that time. Oh, Seattle's hot. We got to go to Seattle. We got Nirvana, and
Yeah.
Chicago. And got this, that, and what, and next thing was Austin. Who knows?
Huh.
And that's what the major labels did. They just followed trends and went to different places. And it
Yeah.
was hot at the time. For at least 3 years, maybe 4 years, people from major labels were just popping up all the time at the studio.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember. I remember. Definitely.
Yeah,
So,
and it was great because it created a bond with labels we didn't have before. But on the other side of the coin, we had something special in Chicago as far as the labels go, and that was Wax Trax Records, and,
yeah.
and of course we had DJ International, which was house music and track.
Yeah. Exactly. Sure. Right.
But
Yeah.
those are the three labels in Chicago, and of course we always had a great blues scene in Chicago with Alligator Records and Delmar.
Yeah.
And Chicago also had at one point Mercury Records.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe Mercury signed Cheap Trick. I'm not sure. But Mercury signed Styx, I think Ohio Players too. Mercury eventually merged into Polygram.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing Ohio players at Paragon.
Yeah, I used to drink all their wine.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to see, I used to,
Billy called up one day and I said, I just want to thank you. And he goes, for what? I said, all the blue nun. He goes, I wondered where that one.
yeah. I said Paragon, it was a really good suit. I like that studio.
It was great.
Yeah, I worked there as I was like a runner, a guy, a hospitality guy. I was just like an intern, you
Hmm.
know, and I would see guys like Allman Brothers band
Hmm.
will be there, and Dave Mason,
Hmm.
um,
Ellie Hoda, Jane Haynes
yeah,
and
yeah, Aliola James and Jeremiah,
Show Drive, which is now DeSable. What an insult.
yeah, Then I see like Ben Sidran.
Mhm.
Ben Sidran, I mean,
Oscar Peterson, I think, recorded there.
yeah,
It's Sticks. Paragon was one of those very unique studios
yeah,
that some music.
yeah.
You know,
What did you think of DB Sonar?
I recorded Paragon and DB.
Yeah,
Uh,
Chuck LaShawn.
yeah, unfortunately, he committed suicide.
Yeah, yeah.
His father
Chuck,
owned Heinz Drum Shop.
well, Chuck was like he's like he was like a big brother. I mean, he was like Chuck LaShawn made me, do things, made me work,
Mhm.
you know. He worked hard. His dad, Frank's Drum Shop. His dad was really cool, Maury LaShawn.
Yes.
And Chuck would, that's the first time I worked in that studio and I got this, man, I just remember that. I had a lot of experience there. I
Well,
saw a lot of things, a lot of bands being produced out of Sonar.
that was a great studio.
Yeah,
The focus of that studio was primarily, I think, the engineer, Malcolm
yeah,
Chisholm, came from
yeah,
Chess Records and recorded everybody there, including the Stones.
yeah.
And when Chess closed, I believe he went over to DB Sound Market. What an amazing engineer. And he could smoke three
Mm.
cigarettes at the same time. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, yeah. No, they took me in as I was like a little kid. I was like a kid,
Mhm.
you know, and that was I can tell you a story. He had a 1968 limousine, Lincoln Continental limousine, sitting in the parking lot with a tarp over it. And I came to work late, and he says, You don't come in here late. You got to come in. You do these things. You bring everything in." And I said, I don't have a transmission." And he said, "Take these keys, take this Standard Oil card, go there and get that thing that thing that's out there. I got to get rid of that thing." And it was a 1968 Lincoln Continental limousine that he won from a gambling. It was one of Elvis's 10 limousines.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so there, and I was driving around and and I got to see you know, I got to see things happen,
Mhm.
between Sonar and Paragon. It was back and forth.
Yeah, Sonar DB and Paragon, they started way before Trax started.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's kind of when I did sessions at both those and Sound Market.
Uh-huh.
Buck's studio. His son is Richard Bucks. It was
Hmm.
Avenue, and they they were all music studios. Eventually, we had other and Universal ones too.
Yeah.
Sound
Universals.
had a great music scene as far as music and studios. Um, I th and Paragon was doing major artists all the time.
Yeah.
Marty's done a good job. Marty Feldman, their own Paragon. Uh,
Uh,
we came in why they were there, and they were there throughout throughout a large portion of the time Trax was around, at least in the 90s, I believe, or 80s. Um, we just went in a different direction.
mhm.
I think I didn't know Chuck and Sean very well. I knew him and Marty. I knew very well. We're two of the people that worked on the founding of Ears, the engineering recording.
Mhm.
and he was a good friend. Um, I think the difference with Chicago Trax and then versus a Paragon, uh, RDB,
Yeah.
Sound Market, is they were getting a lot of the major artists.
Hmm.
Trax was getting some major artists, but most of the artists we did were Chicago artists or
Yeah.
drawn here to be part of that industrial music scene.
Yeah.
And it was a community. And also the house music community, which we really
Yeah.
wanted, which is why I've always said Trax had three locations: the house, we had Halsted Street, and
Mm.
Larrabee. And Larrabee was just an amazing facility, very extremely high. But Halsted was high, and Halsted was magical. It attracted all the industrial music community. That just people gravitated there. I think that's because we had Wax Trax. Wax Trax. I don't know if they recorded in any other studios. They probably did, but
Mm.
Trax was the home for Wax Trax Records. So
Yeah.
industrial right now.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Um, and we were attracting people, Thrill, Kill Cult, KMFDM,
Yeah.
people like Luke Van Acker, Chris Connolly became part of it. Um, Martin Atkins.
Martin Atkins, yeah.
We did a lot of work with Martin. In fact, when I think I'm not sure if it was the Ministry tour or Revolte Cox, probably Ministry. When Martin came back from that tour, I think it was Ministry.
Yeah.
Um, he wanted to start a group called Pigface,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Martin came up to me and said, I want to do this group, and I don't have the finances to do it. It's really ministry without Al. I don't think Al ever participated in Pigface, but
Yeah.
and he goes, "What do you think? Will you do it?" And we did a production deal. I
Yeah.
gave him the time, and Steve Albini engineered that record, and that was the first Pigface record called Gub.
Hmm.
That record brought in a lot of people. Chris Connolly,
Yeah.
I think Bill Rieflin was on that record as well.
Hmm.
Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
Um, it was just an amazing community that created
Yeah.
this vibe that you couldn't really explain. As Al said, it's a cosmic fluke. You had all these people coming into the studio that making records together that never knew they'd be making records with each other.
Yeah. 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 True.
That's all. You
That
know,
was fun. That was a fun thing.
yeah, in the middle of the night, we go,
Hmm.
go to the smart part. Let's play what we're working on. It was
Yeah.
very cool.
Go to Smart Bar. We'll be in the studio when it closes.
And then everybody come back from the smart bar and there'd be a line outside.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
People wanted to get in. Okay, you can come in. It was like people, I wasn't the bouncer, but it seemed like we had a bouncer in front. Okay, you can go in, you woman. You can't go in. You're a guy.
Yeah, yeah. That was crazy. It's crazy.
I've got a
It was-
question. Oh, go.
yeah.
Reed, the number of quality recordings accomplished is like staggering, just to say the very least. What are some of the albums that really stand out for you?
Um, all the ministry records, um, you know, stand out. Um, Thrill Kill Cult, absolutely. Chris Connolly's records that we did, Paul Barker's records. Um, there were other records as time went on because Trax had another location. I
Yeah.
worked with when people Smashing Pumpkins, Liz Fair, Material Issue, I really like that band. Insiders, which
Yeah,
Levi mentioned. Uh,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
I like
Material issue.
Material. Yeah, that was such a fun record to do.
Yeah,
That
that
was
yeah. That's
my.
funny. It's funny, you know. I got to know Jim Ellison,
Mhm. Yep.
and we became good friends. I couldn't believe it. We became good friends. I always thought they were just like the critics' darlings.
Well, that's the one thing that we did, you know,
Mhm.
as a studio. I came into the studio, honestly, not as an engineer, because I'm not an engineer. I came in as an artist, and I had this artist mentality through
Yeah,
it. And people could get away with doing things at Trax that you could never do in
do
any other studio.
studio. Yeah,
And I just looked at it like this is just let everybody do what they're going to do. It's part of
yeah,
the process. So, we did a lot of really great records. Uh,
yeah.
we worked with a lot of great artists too. Um, I don't know everything that stood out. One thing about me is I don't have a favorite anything.
Okay.
Favorites.
Mhm.
There is no best. There's no best record. There
Yeah.
are there's a large group of the best of the best, or whatever you want to.
Hmm.
To me, music is either good or bad.
Mhm.
That's how I look at the records. Jim Allison, Material Issue. That was. I thought that was an excellent record. Unfortunately, it was the end of his career because he committed suicide shortly thereafter.
Yeah, yeah, no.
He was one of the most talented artists that ever tried. So rock guy, and
Yeah,
he,
I
he
realize it.
he was one of my students at Columbia. In my
Oh yeah, he was?
Yeah, I taught record production in the music department. And Jim was one of my students in there. And then he recorded in Zion, the Chew studio, which was excellent studio. They did excellent records. And then Mercury One and his managers, Peter Kapsis and Jeff Botnitz, who did um, choice picks, the basic.
Hmm.
They all he wanted to record a track, so we had Michael Chapman who was producing, and Kevin Caveman Shirley. Kevin did some amazing records. He did all the Led Zeppelin live. Took a year and a half of all their concerts. They recorded every concert they did.
Oh,
We didn't do that, but they had so many talented people in that studio
studio.
making that record. We had some of the people from Cheap Trick are on that record.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
It was
Yeah.
that was a 3 month adventure. That was one of those records where we'd start at noon every day, and Michael would bring in a fifth of vodka and a bag of pop
Hmm.
every day.
Yeah.
And we were in Blaze Town, and
Yeah.
I only had one artist ever complain about that. I didn't even know we were in Boys Town when we got
I
there.
didn't know either until they started having the gay pride parade. And I was like, wow, what are all these people out here? Oh, they're having a parade, you know?
Right in
So,
front of the studio. It started right in front of the studio on the corner.
yeah. Yeah. So I walk out of the studio at 12 noon after being there all night, and there would be a, a fucking a bunch of people out there,
Hmm.
you know. So it was like you walk out, walking into downtown, walk out the doorway, and it's like, you know, people wondering what's in there in that store, what's in this place that they don't have a sign there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it,
it was wild.
it had its own vibe.
Yeah, yeah,
Sound is really just such a, a great time in our lives.
yeah, yeah.
Never duplicated. And I was gonna say, so Material Issue, they started out their sessions every day with a bag of pot and a fifth of vodka at noon. And then at 7 o'clock, they would go to this gay bar across the street, Roscoe's.
Roscoe's, yeah.
So Kevin, Michael, Jim, and the band, they'd go over there and have more drinks. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, they started getting hit on. And I came in the studio the next morning when that first happened, and they're like, "Oh, you're not going to believe what happened." And I'm like, "What? What? What are you talking about?" We were in Roscoe's, and these guys started hitting on us. I'm like, "When you're in a gay bar, you go there every night. What
Yeah.
do you think is going to happen?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was unbelievable. They're really hitting on us." I'm like, "So what are you going to do?" And they go, "We're going back tonight."
Wow.
It was just the same.
Yeah,
I remember Dino from Fear Factory. Or it was the Fear Factory.
yeah. No, no, from Gino.
Dino.
He's in Filter.
Was he in No, no, that's Gino.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Gino's back here in Chicago, in the Chicago area.
Yeah.
We're gonna get together. No, Dino was in a group called Fear Factor. I think it was called Fear Factory. They're on Roadrunner Records.
Uh,
They booked the studio because they wanted to work. They wanted to get that industrial sound. And
the industrial sound, yeah.
work with Fluffy. Al had me
Fluffy.
all the engineers. There was Fluffy.
Uh,
Hair was really long.
yeah, yeah. I love Fluffy.
There was Critter because he
Critter.
slept under the console throughout all
Yeah,
the sessions. And,
yeah.
it's for Perry. They call him for penis.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I didn't have a nickname. They just abused me.
No, you just read.
I'm just
Just
reading.
read.
I just got beat up all the time.
No,
Yeah, Dino surprised me, and I'm bringing it up because we were talking about Boys Town, and he was working with Fluffy, and he wasn't really happy what was going engineering wise. He put a 40 mics in the room, and they'd start recording, and one mic went out, and they didn't catch it. And he's like, "Well, the engineer didn't catch this one mic going." I go, "You got 40 mics up there. This is a room mic. It's picking up the room. We could duplicate that. Um, we could, or you can re-record it. You do whatever you want, but like one mic going out of 40 is not unusual. I mean, we hope it doesn't happen, but I mean,
yeah.
it can go wrong. Put up 40 mics, and one might go out for some reason or another. So
Mhm.
he got to the point where he's like, "Well, I'm leaving Trax. I can't record here anymore because the mic went out in one of the sessions and someone sold the drummer pot." And I'm like, "So?" Yeah. And it's a gay neighborhood. And he goes, "What?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "What?" And he's like, "No one ever told us this was Boys Town.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
And no one ever told you it wasn't." I mean, like, we,
I know.
he was the first person that ever said, "I'm leaving because it's gay outside."
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I was friends with the people at the label, Roadrunner, and he's like, "Well, we like to get half our money. We like to get half our money back. They paid for a month in advance." And I'm like, "Do you realize how many people wanted to book that room?" And I told them that you were in it for 2 months, and you want me
Mm,
to start booking the room again after I told everybody to come back in 2 months.
mm.
So I said, "I don't think that's going to happen." And Howard called me up in the label and said, "Reid, what do you think? I mean, we paid for a month and you guys unhappy." I go, and I explained to him what I just told you. And he,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I get it.
Mm.
We don't want the money back. How are you going to book the room? So they stayed there in the rehearsal for another 2 weeks. It was
Mm.
I think he was probably the only real unhappy client we've ever had. And
Oh,
all for weird reasons. A mic went out, someone sold
wow. Damn.
pot, and it's Boys Town. Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Wow, we knew that. Everybody knew except
Yeah. Yeah, everyone did. That's true. I tell you, now it's weird. Everybody has their own little studio now.
yeah.
Everyone has their own studio. I have a little studio here, but I do I do miss those times a lot.
Mhm.
I heard Al has a podcast now.
He does.
That's what I heard.
I didn't hear that. I
I
didn't
didn't New to me, but I heard it from who did I hear that from? I heard it from Danny. Danny told me, you
think.
know.
Oh, Danny. Yeah.
Yeah, she says hi. Says hello.
I didn't know he had one. I mean, he's a character. He can certainly hold his own.
Yeah, yeah. True.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
you know, all the people that came by during his sessions. Timothy Leary lived there for 2 months.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The opera lived there.
yeah. Sure was. Jello, Timothy, William Burroughs.
Yeah, it was. We even had the Chicago Cubs. Al became friends with them. The 99th floor was across the street from the studio.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that was the black leather, black clothing store for rock stars, and
yeah, yeah,
everybody used to go there. And Al met the Cubs over there. Some of
yeah,
them, they became good friends, and they started coming by the
yeah,
studio. Wow,
yeah. Mickey's wife passed away.
I saw that. I saw him something.
Yeah, but I used to hang there.
We all did.
Yeah, yeah, we did. We
Good.
always hang there. Mickey works for Jam,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and I remember we were standing there doing security, watching the fans in line at the Aragon, and we s- we stand there and you know watch these fans and ask each other, what do we want to do other than this? And Mickey says, well, my dad's I want to get he didn't say his dad, but he says, I want to open up a thrift store. And I said, I want to play in a band. That's what I want to do.
Mhm.
And he opened up a thrift store and then on Broadway and then, near Addison. And then he eventually wound up having 99th floor.
Mhm.
And their clothes were the best you can get other than going to the other store.
Which one?
I'm trying to think on Clark Street. It's a clothing store,
Uh-huh.
and it was just they had like stuff. They had black clothing, for
Mhm.
industrial, but it was not genuine like 99th floor.
99th floor was
It was
just.
it was a boutique,
Mhm.
you know. It was a boutique, and
It was a big part of the music community.
yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that intersection, Roscoe and Halston.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
So,
you know, if there's anything you get out of this, you know, it was not only the scene,
yeah.
um, where we had, you know, this people attracting people in the industrial music scene, the artists,
Hmm.
labels, you know, wax tracks and everything. It was a community,
Yeah.
and it's surrounded in a community of people, you know, in music. I mean, if you went to a lot of the gay bars, they were playing the music that we did.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure was. That was a strip. That was a hot strip.
They didn't know we were making it right down the
Yeah.
street.
I know. I know people used to see one of us walking out of the store. I mean, out of Trax. And they said, "What is that place?" Whatever. You know. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you, Reed, the uh, the best thing, the best thing to do now is to try to make things a little better for the artists now. You know,
Mhm.
it's time to do that. I don't know. That's the best thing right now. Joey, you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just such a
I
massive Chris
just,
Collin
yeah.
fan. Yeah. You know, from Finney Tribe, Murder Inc., Ministry, Revco, Pigface, PTP, Acid Horse, Cocksure, his solo work, you know, and especially his Bowie tribute band, Sons of the Silent Age. My favorite record of his is by far Bar Bambalam. I was wondering if you have any stories from around that period of him doing recording.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
every day was a story.
What pops in your head that just resonates?
Didn't Chris have a dog that came to the studio? I think he did. I
I
mean,
don't, I don't know. I never saw him.
I, I, I don't know. I mean, all the records seem to go into each other. Uh,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
what's that one song? It was a Rod Stewart song. That
What was
was,
it, Revco? Was
might
it
have
Do You Think I'm
been-
Sexy?
yeah, do you think I'm sexy? I remember I was in the control room and Chris had so many he he was he was singing through it and he kept breaking out laughing. And we kept it's on the record. Yeah,
yeah.
working with Chris was it was just a very cool vibe. Chris was always a down to earth person. And um, you know, what I really remember from that sessions was Chris just being so easygoing and so easy to work with, and yet so professional at the same time with everything that he did. Who played on that record?
That's great.
Uh, yeah. Who was Tucker?
Oh, Tucker. Okay.
William Tucker. Um, Chris from trying. He
Chris,
was in Chris. He was in Chris.
Chris Bruce.
Chris Bruce. Yeah, Chris Bruce. Yeah, Chris Bruce. And I don't know who the rest were. I don't. I don't really know.
Well, the one thing that I think you might get out of it is that everybody played on everybody else's record. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, not all the time, but like I said, it was a community, and you know, it's like, hey, what are you doing? Why don't you play on this? Or, you know, I want to play on that. What it's just, you know, Chris's records were made up of people that played on all the other records because everybody was part of this community.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
That's right.
So sometimes you wonder what record you're working.
Mhm.
Sometimes you
Al,
didn't.
yeah, Al would constantly change directions
Oh
on
yeah.
on his records. You know, he'd be doing one record and then he'd come up to my office and go, like, don't Bill Warner, so, for this one, Wax Pressing's gonna take it. And don't call Wax Press because they don't know they're taking
Yeah.
it. It's like, yeah, Jim and Danny are taking it. I mean, it was like a family. Not only community, it's family.
So Chris Randall from Sister Machine Gun, did he work in the mailroom? Is that true?
He should
Yeah.
have stayed. No,
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah. No, he worked in the mail room. He worked in the mail room at Wax Trax.
Al ended
Yeah.
up in the back too. I remember he got in a fight with someone who didn't like his record.
I don't know. I think so.
There's something like that. You know, it, yeah, I remember doing Sister Machine Gun.
Yeah.
That Warsaw Sister Machine Gun, the Pig Face
Yeah.
record. Pig Face. I don't know if we did the second one. People started their own studios, like Martin did. Martin started his own studio. He had his own label, Invisible Records.
Yeah. Yeah. Warzone was a studio.
Mm-hmm.
It was
It's where Trax was.
yeah, Trax, yeah. That's what Trax did eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was the building was owned by people from Jam Productions
Oh,
and the guy who owned the Vic Theater. I can't remember.
oh, Walter.
Walter.
Walt.
There was another guy too. Um,
Walt and
what's the other guy's name? He had his office there on wherever.
um only person I knew was Walter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Warsaw had their studio in there,
yeah.
and we were after Halstead, we were looking to buy because we had to move because Trax
Um,
destined to become part of the Sidetracks, the video bar. The owners owned all that property, and it
uh,
took us a lot of time to find a new place, and they made us an offer to buy half the building.
mm,
And we did. Um, we told them we'll buy half the building if you get the parking lot. The lot next door we turned into a parking lot, which was a major asset having a parking lot because that was Cabrini Green. That was
yeah, yeah. Cabrini Green, yeah.
that was a project. That was a rough area.
Oh hell yeah. Are you kidding? That's where I was born in. I was born in Cabrini.
Korea.
Yeah.
So you know all about it firsthand.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah. It's like, oh my God. That sometimes when I used to go to war zone, a lot of guys if you know, if you walked around the neighborhood,
mhm,
walk around war zone, and you park your car, it would be burglarized.
mhm.
You get jumped.
I,
Uh,
I I believe it. We
and
yeah.
and it was owned by some police officers were using the place also as it had a basketball court in there.
In our building,
Yeah, in Warzone.
I guess you could have. Yeah. You know what? Maybe they did
They
upstairs.
had a basketball court
I bet
because after we record, we go shoot basketball.
it was on the second floor, right?
Yeah,
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 that was the area that we built some studios in.
yeah. You guys changed it.
Because I remember I bought a basketball hoop thing
Yeah,
for R. Kelly.
yeah. It was yeah, that was a nice place.
Mm-hmm.
No, but you had to get the. I remember I came back from tour and and my car parked out front, which I knew not to do that. I wound up staying longer than I expected, and it was vandalized, you know.
Well, we built a parking lot
Yeah, I know. And the gate.
and a gate and a key card system.
Yeah,
It was all over.
because
Light.
I know that Mindfunk had their the band Mindfunk, Louis Speech's band, had all their gear stolen.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we were very concerned about security in that, but in that,
Yeah, after
with,
that, yeah,
yeah, having that parking lot saved it.
safe.
You
Yeah,
know, a lot of people walking in that were everybody walking in was a target, but especially the famous people that they knew, like the
yeah,
Beyonce,
yeah,
David. We constantly had tour buses in our parking lot.
yeah,
And sometimes we had too many. We cut a deal with wards,
hmm,
but
yeah,
you couldn't get into the building unless there was camera, there was a gate, there was key cards. It
yeah,
was a big safety issue.
yep.
And razor wire fences, and
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
I felt safe enough. Everybody did.
Yeah. I mean, once you were in, you're in. But
Mhm.
if stuff was, yeah, it was just that's just the way it was then.
Yeah.
That whole era is different now.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So
It's all gentrified. There is no Cabrini Green.
no, it's not.
Well,
My
I feel like
no, it's
Halstead was a very safe area. You could
yeah.
park right in front of the studio. Uh, they
Hmm.
they didn't have parking meters.
No, they didn't.
You
Sure
know,
didn't.
parking could be a little tough. But it was safe. No
Yeah.
one, no one ever told me that they walked out the door and didn't feel safe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, that's true.
You
Yeah.
know, no one bothered anyone too. You have people that are pretty well known, like Tom Waits and Dr. John, come in.
Uh,
No one ever bothered anyone. I don't think they knew who anyone was. So
We
that's all it was. It was
yeah.
Yeah. Our hangout was Town Hall pub across the
Town
street.
Hall Pub. Yeah, that's the pub where I got my first beer.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I knew the owners,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on the football team in high school, and we wanted some beer, and they said, "What are you schmucks doing?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get you some beer." They were like our booster.
Mm-hmm.
Like the school booster. They give us Town Hall Pub. And they had, something, Reed, they had a pinball game in Town Hall Pub. They had it was like a porno version of Disney. Yeah. And a customer felt that was rude and they had it taken out.
Really?
Yeah. Because I remember, oh man, it was like,
Why would you do that? I mean,
I don't know. It was a Mickey Mouse, it was like Disney characters and you playing the pinball machine and it was just porno. And I said, wow, look at Minnie Mouse. She's doing Goofy. And it was just terrible.
well,
So
that
eventually,
probably
yeah,
so.
eventually some people were making a big deal out of it. And somebody called it in and, reported it. And they had it. We went into town hall and
That's
they just said, the pinball game's not there no more. So,
so out of character. That was like a biker bar.
yeah, 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 yeah. Asleep at the Wheel used to play there annually
Mm-hmm.
every year. Sleep at the Wheel would play there, do shows there. That was like their turf.
So you knew Ray
So,
Benson?
huh?
You knew Ray Benson because they're based here in Austin.
Yeah. But they play at Town Hall Pub. It was a big deal, you know.
That is a
Sleep,
big deal.
yeah. Asleep at the Wheel, oh God. So I
That, that
don't
was the place we used to go. Al
yeah.
Biafra never drank, but he buy things. So
Uh-huh.
Biafra to buy anything is amazing. You should, but they'll not. That's where Jim and Danny told me that Ministry wasn't going to be on their label anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's where we did some of the photos for the large record. I didn't know
Oh,
I didn't know we were doing photos for the last.
hmm.
I didn't know there was the last Temptation record. I didn't know anything. I was in the dark. I just remember coming into the studio one day on my way to Michigan with my wife, soon to be,
Hmm.
and Biafra was like, "Oh, we got to go to the bar," and I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, I'm on my way to Michigan." Well, we got to talk. And we buy you some drinks. I'm like, well, I got to drive, but all right. And he's
Yeah.
taking photos and he keeps trying to buy me drinks. And I'm like, I got to drive, man.
Mm.
I went back to the studio and he took some other photos that ended up being the front cover. The bar, it was a cool bar. It was the only straight bar on
Yeah,
Hall.
it was on. Yeah, it was. It was the only straight bar there. I remember.
Yeah,
God. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
There were not a lot of straight bars there. And you knew by the name, the manhole, the men's room.
yeah. The
Well,
manhole.
creative names, isn't it?
The manhole. I'm gonna tell you something. That was one bar that that if you were straight and you walk in there and you started shit, you get your ass beat.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like, what's up? What's wrong with you, buddy? I got my ass kicked at the manhole. You know, that was a rough bar, man.
as
That was a
manhole.
bar. I, I couldn't believe it.
Mhm.
That was a scary bar. I remember going to see Mickey at 99th floor, and I said, "Man, what happened over here? What happened by the manhole?" Oh, it was a big old fight, and a bunch of straight guys got their ass kicked. You know, and I was like, "Wow." I felt bad. I felt bad for the poor guys.
Yeah, I never had a problem with it. I don't think I really went to
Nah,
manhole, but
no, not you. You didn't have, only thing you had to worry about was the us, Trax, just the antics that we all had done.
we had our own asylum in
Yeah, 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 yeah,
we would walk in and never leave.
yeah, yeah. That was it.
Like Cabaret Voltaire came in one night with Marshall Jefferson. He was remixing some of their stuff
Yeah,
studio in CRC. And we were hanging out in the control room and I went home because I was one of the few people that did get to go home. And I came back the next day and they're all still there and they're all taking acid. Acid bombs. Stayed for about a week.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, those collaborations were priceless because they just happened. They weren't
Yeah.
planned. They weren't planned. You know, it's
Yeah,
just
they were.
yeah, it was cool. So I'm sorry, I don't remember a lot about recording that record.
Hey, Acid Horse, that's one of my favorite records.
That one I remember, you know, because I remember when the guys came in and then they never left. We're just stopping by to say hello and meet everybody. Marshall was like, "Yeah, this is Al, Paul, and my Marshall and they left, and we came back the next day, and they're all there making essays.
Mhm.
That's how those records happened. You know, they weren't planned. They were just they decided to do things together, different people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love a lot of those projects, like A Thousand Homo DJs and PTP, and just
Yeah.
all those one-offs. I just love them so much. There's something magical about them, like lightning being caught in a bottle. It seems like.
Yeah, they wanted to do they wanted the beat cop to be on A Thousand Homo DJs. It kept ripping and going like, so what's this one going to be called? 1001 Homo DJs? And he never did it. I guess he never got in to do it.
Yeah.
Probably good
That's a new
his
one.
part being a Chicago cop.
Man. So
Uh, do you have any advice for people wanting to break into the record industry in 2024, Reed? Loaded question, but
Gonna become a lawyer.
yeah, really.
Have a double major, you know. It's really difficult for people breaking in. I think, you know, the way recording is now, people are recording in their own studios,
Yeah.
and the quality really isn't the same. You know, it's just not, but it's good. Um, I think my advice would be you need to get out there and tour. You
Mhm.
need to record because you have to have a presence, you know, on streaming markets, um, and on YouTube. It's really
Mhm.
important to have that. And you need to be playing. You need to get out there and play and build that fan base and just play, play, and play and merchandise.
Mhm.
You're not going to earn a lot of money until you start doing certain things. And maybe it's not even a lot of money, but you won't get any recognition unless you have that fan base. So you need to start maybe what we call piggybacking. You know, going out with an artist that's known and picking up some of their fans in the tour. It's one of the things that happen all the time. Piggybacking. You know, a new band with an established band or established artist.
Mhm.
Other than that, my advice would be don't. There's a lot of great music out there, but you never really hear it, do you?
what
Yeah, right,
is
right.
for?
Yeah.
Are you very aware of the artist, I guess?
Yeah.
Well,
Unless they get takes on a video or something, you know.
it's really it's always been a really hard business, and you know, record labels would they'd sign you know a nominal amount of people compared to all the demos that they got and whatnot, and you know they out of all their signings they make their money on 5% of the artists that they signed. And what that means is only 5% of the artists made any money. You know, and
Mm.
now they're
Right.
signing plus artists, primarily because it's an interesting thing with streaming. The labels, particularly the major labels, that's what I'm talking about. They have such a large catalog of records that are paid for.
Yeah.
And they're starting to put out that catalog. And now people who never heard of artists from the 80s and 70s and 90s, whatever, uh, younger people are picking up on them and playing them because they're streaming those artists. And why? Because it doesn't cost the record company anything to put
Right.
this artist, into a streaming platform. They have no marketing. They don't have to put out hard copies of anything. There's no touring. Everybody,
Right.
people listen to it, and the younger people are starting to listen to records and artists that, were from 30 years ago and 40 years ago.
Mm,
So it
yeah.
makes it difficult for new artists when they're not signing them because of the catalog coming out.
Yep. So,
I would
you,
say, if you're a new artist, and my advice would be you need to get out there and do it.
yeah.
In touring and everything that goes with touring, the merchandising, selling hard copies of your records, even though a lot of people don't even have CD players, or
Mm,
vinyl. Vinyl is big right now.
yeah.
Um, you know, just you have to get out there. If you just put a record on Apple Music or whatever, no one knows who you are. I was looking at an artist that this girl I know, like she saw them. They're called Something Strange. It's SUM thing strange,
Hmm.
and I think they're Californian, and they have a lot of great music. The
Mm,
singer's amazing, but I don't think they're really doing anything. I don't know if they have management or anything. And she asked me if I could pass along some of their stuff. She became friends with them. They played a small bar out there with Gene Loves Jezebel. And she played one of the things for me. And I'm like, wow, they're really good. But I could never really find who they were online because every time I kept saying play something strange to Alexa or whatever, so there were all these different something stranges. So I went to some of my friends and I said, like my friend at Music Direct, they have the largest online catalog of vinyl and CDs. And he pulled up a couple things, and we found another
mm,
band in Chicago called Something Strange, and they had like maybe 200 followers, and they're just awesome band. It's spelled SOME versus SUM. Um,
mm,
but it was alternative pop punk, and it was really good. Kind of reminiscent, as one of them said, of Green Day. Um, but it's damn, they're really good. They have a YouTube video that they recorded at a rehearsal space out there of one
yeah.
song called what's the name of that song? I'll think of it in a minute. And the performance was excellent.
Wow.
And they have 200 followers.
Wow.
That's it's
Yeah.
the one thing record companies did was, even though they spoon fed everybody and it was a business and it was a kind of a corrupt business, to say the least.
Yeah.
Um, Music didn't get out, and the stuff with wax tracks. Uh, I don't know, did any of that really go on the radio? It was the clubs.
I know.
Yeah, Jim and Danny always did merchandising. They had great record covers. The artwork was brilliant, and it was word of mouth and by osmosis, and it was just amazing, how the bands actually did it, but not the they did it their own way, not the way the standard way that people would come up in the record industry,
Huh.
the major labels,
Yeah.
which was very cool. you know,
Um,
yeah, Phil Coco, you know,
yeah,
is involved with that as well. How did you guys get out there the same way, right? Playing.
yeah. We it's like the I'm trying to think. We had flyers and stuff like that. You had to go out there and do it. You had to go play.
Mm-hmm.
You had to do the show. You know, that was the best way to do things. You know, Buzz Marston still does that.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie, you got to get out there and play. You know, the Pumpkins, they had before they got huge, they had to go out and play.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, record labels didn't really do much.
No, and you weren't part of that whole big major label chain of PR and promotion, but
Hmm.
we had great clubs.
Yeah,
Chicago had its share,
yeah,
and the Metro, the
yeah,
Cabaret, was instrumental in getting artists out there in the industrial music scene.
yeah.
Market.
I so every Wednesday I go to the Metro and see new acts. I
Yeah.
made it.
Uh-huh.
I made I made it a mission. I would go out Wednesday, see bands play, and then H Gun would do shoot videos there.
Oh, H-Gun, amazing. Yes.
They would shoot lots of videos in Chicago.
Hmm.
Yeah, big time. So
Yeah, MTV and stuff. But
yeah,
so we didn't have YouTube back then.
sure did.
No, we didn't have the internet.
No,
So, so
I'm sure the Crow soundtrack helped you out, Levi, and propelled your music out there.
what was that?
I'm sure the Crow soundtrack helped propel your music out there.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. The all that that was happening.
it's one of my favorite movies.
Mine too, and soundtrack. It's my favorite soundtrack. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
excellent. It's excellent. Yeah.
yeah,
And Brandon Lee, he died. What was it? He shot or something?
yeah. He got shot in the chest.
Mhm.
A shell pierces his chest. It had too much gunpowder, and it killed him. It was a freak accident.
Yeah.
Freak accident.
What a
And I remember Jackie Black saying, "Wow, we finally get in the movie, and the goddamn star dies." You know, but it was sad. But
well they
yeah,
finished it.
I didn't even see the movie till 3 or 4 years later. Then I saw then I saw the film. I was like, wow,
It's excellent. And
yeah,
music
yeah,
is
Every Halloween, it's what I play. I play every Halloween. I play the Crow. It's just a tradition that I've had.
oh
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
I have the movie on DVD. I have played it a million times.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I have.
yeah.
It-
It was fun. It was a fun experience.
yeah,
It was
well,
great.
did a great track on
Yeah, sure did.
I've got
it.
the original pressing for Record Store Day before they remastered, or they put it out in mass, but really
Yeah.
rare. It's got the hype sticker on it and everything, but I had to have
Oh,
one.
oh wow. Yeah.
It was such a cool movie. It was like just the city itself was just
Hmm.
so goth, I guess.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much. That's the only one where I refused to watch any sequel because I felt like it would have diminished the first movie. So I never
Yeah.
watched any sequel of The Crow ever. I've
Did they,
never done that with a movie before. I'm like, I'm not gonna just even entertain it. So I've
did they,
never seen a sequel to this day of The Crow.
did they have one? I
Oh,
never
they
saw.
have a
Yeah,
lot. They bat
yeah,
they milked that to the ground, and the last one did not do well. It tanked.
yeah.
You
It tanked again.
I think it was like they've done like 6 or 7 of them, not counting the new one at least. I remember Edward Furlong did one, and I was just like, wow, that's they really
Uh-huh.
drove this into the ground. But no, I refuse to see the second one.
It's one of those movies where the original one could not be beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Nope.
It just I didn't even realize they had a sequel.
Oh yeah, the City of Angels
Oh,
was,
yeah.
and they kept doing
Yeah.
it, or they kept
You-
getting worse, and I just was like, I don't need to see a second one, man. They got it right, and I don't even want to. I just don't want to. I want it preserved in my head how it is, and I don't want to diminish that with seeing a second one because I know it's not gonna.
I might go watch that tonight.
Yeah, so
yeah.
City of Angels would be the second one.
And then there's the one that's on not Netflix, but you can see it in the streaming thing
Hmm.
promotion. They have Pro Salvation. That's another one. You know.
I could watch it. I mean, the first, I feel the same way Joey does. The first one was just
Uh,
they nailed it, soundtrack and everything.
uh,
And I've never done that with another movie that had sequels. It's just that's the only one because it resonated with me that hard.
yeah. Yeah. So I know.
So that's advice for a young artist. Get in a movie, get in the soundtrack.
Yeah,
There, I mean, people you get placed.
Yeah.
Music supervisor. It's not easy, but if you do it, you get recognition. Sometimes I did a group called the Lupins. I don't know if you remember them, Levi. They're a rock alternative band.
Mm,
Used to play the Metro, and the place used to just go up in arms. They were so good. I got them a deal through at RCA, and of course, like all record deals, the label drops the ball. But they've
yeah.
got a song from Dumb and Dumber called Tech that was done by Nick Launay, who actually did uh, Killing Joke and a lot of work with Martin in London.
Mm,
Nick did the record, and Tank ended up going into Dumb and Dumber.
bummer.
The record went platinum. I just found that out.
Damn.
Yeah,
No shit.
of course, they never offered us a platinum record for doing it. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sorry,
Mm,
but that is a way to start getting recognition. It's
yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any advice, Levi? I mean, Joey. I mean, what do you tell young artists today, other than to get out there, make product, get out
I
there?
just I just tell them I just tell them to get out there. Keep going. Never get, someone asked me, do I still have dreams? I still have dreams. Otherwise, I don't know what I'd do if I didn't.
Mhm.
You know, I dream of being, making something else happen. Have a dream of making something else happen. I'm getting older. We're all getting old. And the only dream I have now is making something happen, doing something.
Well, I think that doing this is excellent.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, true.
it really is. I'm
Yeah,
I'm hoping that I can open up Chicago Trax again.
yeah,
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 so,
definitely.
yeah. I mean, we talked about doing a sitcom, but unfortunately, the person leading the way to Netflix and they passed away.
Mm,
2 months when we're starting to get onto something, so that's kind of on hold. But I would like to reopen Chicago Trax, and everybody says, "You out of your fucking mind? You want to do another studio?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And that's where I would develop new artists as well.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. like Malcolm McLaren. I always want to be like a Malcolm McLaren.
Mhm.
You see something, you envision something, and you make it happen.
Mhm.
And therefore you made something, you created some kind of something.
Mhm.
And that's what keeps me going. Living and dreaming.
Mhm.
And I don't have, there's not a lot of money for me to do things. I still get contributions
Mhm.
and but I have a lot of I believe in what's happening. The hope of things to come better.
They
So
will. They
yeah,
are. They are. They're
yeah,
hard better than they were, well, just a short while back.
yeah. So on that note, I guess Joy, you have anything else? Joy?
No, I want to save some of this for a part two if Reid will entertain that notion.
Yeah,
Have him
yeah.
back.
I'd love to.
We would love
Definitely.
and
I
might
like to
really
definitely, go ahead. I want to get together again, Reed, and definitely we get our audio stuff together and fine tune this meeting
Mhm.
of such.
I'll put a mic up too because my voice is low.
Yeah.
and
And
it's fine on
maybe
my end, so I don't know.
yeah, it's just
Balance out.
maybe maybe, maybe get Jolly in on
Oh, jolly.
Al, you know, and Martin and all, get everybody together.
That might be fun. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it will be.
That would be amazing. We're
Yeah,
open to suggestions.
yeah,
that would be very cool.
yeah,
Let's
definitely.
go.
I don't think Al has a podcast. So.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's on a lot of them, but not to my knowledge. I don't even know how he'd have time. He's touring
yeah, I
and
know. I
records.
don't know how he would have. I don't know how he would have time to have a podcast.
I don't think so. I mean,
I
he was
know.
he was going to work with me and Joe as well on the Chicago Trax.
Yeah,
Originally, we're going to do a documentary, but that's out. We don't have photos. We don't have video. People passed away. You don't
yeah.
have, but there's certainly enough people there, and
Uh,
to do something. And I think Trax deserves a sitcom because it was insane.
yeah.
People said the inmates ran the asylum, and then I realized I was one of the inmates.
I hear you.
I
Yeah.
think that's a perfect note to go out on.
Yeah.
So, Reed, I want to thank you so much for giving fringe society types a feeling of home and community. Some of our closest and deepest bonds have blossomed as a direct result out of what you've put out. It has been an honor sharing time with you today, sir.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor being here, and I appreciate the invite and the time we've spent together. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. It flew by, didn't it?
And there's more to come.
There will be
Yeah,
part two. So stay
I'm
tuned,
in.
guys.
I'm in.
definitely.
So,
And
kiddos,
right now, I'm going to go over and see Shanahan DJs.
Yeah, I would
too.
love to have Joe Shanahan.
I'll tell him you guys said hello.
Yeah, tell him I said hi.
I will. I
Yeah,
said,
definitely. Reed, I love you, man.
love you too, bro.
Definitely.
Kiddos, this brings us to another end of another episode dedicated with deep love and respect for our friend Jason Lupo. Thank you for your support and love for this show. Please also support the arts in your communities. Endorse your local schools' music and art programs. Encourage your local businesses to do the same by supporting businesses who highlight and showcase these things. Sports have plenty of support, so let's show some of that kind of love to people creating magic and wonder. We are in this
Mhm.
together. Love, hug, and belly rubs. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.